We're glad you're with us tonight. I'm Lynn Brooks.
And I'm Danny Salter. Terry Brewer is on assignment. Some parts of West Alabama have seen stormy weather today with strong wind and rain.
The question now, could this weather turn severe, and what about tonight? Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott joins us now with the very latest on this situation. Hi, Richard.
Hey, Lynn and Danny, good Tuesday afternoon to you. Right now, nothing severe to talk about, just some strong thunderstorms happening across parts of West Alabama. Cold front's moving through the state now. And again, we're watching thunderstorms from about Fayette to Berry to Tuscaloosa, Northport, down to Livingston and York. And again, these are tracking off towards the east at about 30 miles per hour. Some cloudy ground lightning with this as well, but again, nothing in terms of severe weather right now. We don't expect anything overly severe here in West Alabama, which is good news. Storms should stay in check, but again, some light rain showers back in Mississippi. Those will continue to spread in later tonight. And in fact, our forecast tonight calls for quickly falling temperatures. 58 by 10 o'clock, 48 at midnight. What about the rest of the forecast and your weekend forecast? Home team weather is coming up.
Thank you, Richard. Alabama's new immigration law continues to be a big topic in the community. Many Hispanic families in West Alabama are worried about what it means for their children. Today, Tuscaloosa City Schools held their second meeting with parents to talk about the new law. Parents of Hispanic children met with administrators and law enforcement officials at Central High School to ask questions about the law. Martha Rodriguez says she feels like she's being attacked by the new regulations that are in the law.
Pues mi reacción a la ley fue de asombro porque muchas familias nos preguntamos ahorita mismo cómo otras personas de otros países, por ejemplo los árabes, no voy a decir razas, ¿verdad? Ni nada, pero hay mucha gente que viene a hacerle un mal a este país y todo el mundo lo sabe. Y ahorita mismo los que nos están a nosotros casi corriendo, somos hispanos. Y nosotros pues no venimos a hacerle ningún mal al país, al contrario, venimos a aportar también.
Tonight at 6, find out how Rodriguez is protecting her children and grandchildren in case she is unable to take care of them.
Alabama's immigration law is causing labor shortages in agricultural jobs. Governor Bentley introduced Work Alabama last week. That's a state program to fill those vacant jobs. The state says about 200 people have signed up for the program, but the Industrial Relations Agency says only one employer has sought one worker through the program. Jerry Spencer of Grow Alabama says Alabamians he's attempted to hire lack the physical stamina and mental toughness for the jobs once performed by Hispanics.
U.S. Customs officials say they have set a record for deporting illegal immigrants. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE, deported nearly 400,000 individuals during the 2011 fiscal year. Officials say this was the largest number in the agency's history. ICE said about 55% of those deported had felony or misdemeanor convictions, but could not say how many crimes were related to immigration violations. Authorities say 2/3 of those deported either recently crossed the border or had done so repeatedly.
A former Tuscaloosa City School teacher is at the center of a police investigation. Right now, the situation is very fluid. Officials are remaining pretty tight-lipped about this investigation, but we can tell you what we know so far. According to Tuscaloosa Police, the Juvenile Department is investigating Jennifer Elabash, a former teacher at Central High School. According to a Tuscaloosa City Schools personnel report, Elabash resigned from the school system last week. According to Central High School's website, Elabash was a Spanish teacher. The website also shows Elabash used to teach at West Lawn Middle School, the Alabama Online High School, and she's a graduate of the University of Alabama. Tuscaloosa City School officials would not say exactly why Elabash resigned. Tuscaloosa Police Chief Steve Anderson tells WVUA the investigation started after they received a complaint, but no charges have been filed.
On your crime watch, the search for a robbery suspect in Tuscaloosa. It happened at the Shell Food Mart on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Take a look at these photos. Police say this is the man wanted in connection with the robbery. It happened around 3 p.m. last Thursday. According to the cashier, the suspect pulled out a gun, demanded money, and left the foot-on store. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 752-STOP.
Emotions ran high at a Northport City Council meeting over group home regulations. Angry citizens armed with signs packed into Northport City Hall Monday night. They were voicing their discontent over group home regulations. The proposed ordinance calls for each group home to have a business license, a parking plan, and be at least 1 mile away from another group home. Some protesters told us their main concern, the distance between each group home. During the meeting, the council proposed a provision which would shrink the radius from 1 mile to 1,000 feet.
Seem to be much less intrusive on the homes that are already in existence. It would not completely eliminate total portions of the city for new group homes to come in. Of course, that's not the intent.
What we did was we came out in numbers and got with some of the people in group homes and made signs, and we just wanted to stand out and just come out and pretty much show that we don't agree with the ordinance at all.
Because of the modifications, the council agreed to table the measure until the next council meeting. That is set for November 7th.
Tuscaloosa residents have gotten their first look at zoning changes for tornado-damaged areas. The Chamber of Commerce and City of Tuscaloosa hosted a previewing event for the first draft. That was on Monday night. It was a way for community members and businesses to comment on the building zones. John McConnell with the Planning and Development Services Department tells us this open house was an opportunity to share information with the community as well as get some feedback on their draft.
Well, mainly what we're seeing are people comparing their use rights and their build rights under the current codes to what they would be under these new proposed codes. And ultimately, those property owners are going to have a choice to make. They could get permitted now under the current codes, or they can wait till these new codes are adopted, hopefully by December or so.
McConnell says, though, through these meetings, they can make sure nothing is imposed on the public without them knowing.
After almost 6 months, a longtime restaurant is back open after rebuilding from the April 27th tornado. Taco Casa officially reopened Monday. The green and yellow awnings have been a popular trademark to residents in Tuscaloosa for nearly 40 years. Some residents and even Vice President of Taco Casa, Brett Wilkin, says the reopening of Taco Casa brings hope back to Tuscaloosa.
It's been desolate out here ever since the tornado, and I'm glad that they're finally letting somebody do something. And it's the first sign of anything coming back.
You know, a sense of hope for Tuscaloosa that we can do this together, and we're trying to be the first one to step up and say, hey, we're here, let's do this.
Now, Wilkins says they're waiting to hear from city leaders about restoring their big cactus sign.
April storms destroyed many important documents, including tax information. Midnight last night was the deadline for people to file their 2010 federal income tax if they requested an extension last April. But for some storm survivors, those documents just don't exist anymore. Dan Boone with the IRS says with reasonable cause, the IRS will forgive you for filing late if the circumstances are beyond your control. Tax accountant Rachel Taylor says there are many Alabamians who may be in this situation after April's tornadoes.
People who had damage to their computers and who lost maybe some financial data that way. It helps if you have your records backed up, but sometimes even your backups can be destroyed too. So there's a lot of chance like that for people to really struggle when it comes to their financial data.
And for more information about applying for reasonable cause relief, just go to WVUATV.com, click numbers and links, or you can call the IRS toll-free at 1-800-829-1040.